I think we should get started. I was going to try to share my screen with you, and I have a lovely slideshow for you, but this may be the limits of my ability to do technological things. Let's give it a shot. Can everyone hear me okay? Hi, Mar. Hi, everybody. Hi, mamas. I'm really excited to chat with you today. Diana, you're so sore from a workout. It's awesome. You can hear me great. Okay, so I'm going to attempt the screen share. If it doesn't work, then we'll just talk through it. That's fine. Okay, there's my screen, and I want to do this, and I'm hoping that's going to work. And we are going to talk about home workout hacks today. So maybe you can drop a quick note in the chat box while I try to pull this up. Oh, it's just not going to cooperate. But drop a quick note in the chat box and tell me, have you been doing home workouts since like quarantine? Is everyone doing home workouts on your own? Are you looking to get started on home workouts? Are you using a particular system right now or a program? Mama Reset, yeah! So Mama Reset is one of my products, and it's an online membership. We do have some set programs, but also like a monthly membership. Diana is one of our lovely mamas. Hi, Carly. Welcome, everyone. Just type into the chat box. Just let me know, are you currently doing home workouts? Have you gone back to gym? Thais, oh, awesome. You're doing belly boot camp. So nice to have you here. Belly boot camp mamas, Mama Reset mamas, and those who are not. And I am really excited to share some of my top hacks with you. So we're going to talk, hi Wynette, we're going to talk about how not just the kind of the nuts and bolts, like the equipment and core and pelvic floor stuff of home workouts, but also the mindset and scheduling stuff that really comes into making a successful home workout program. Steph says, used to do home workouts a lot, but struggling to get back into it since your daughter was born. Totally understandable. And we're going to talk a little bit about, hey Jay, we're going to talk a little bit about exercise seasons, because a lot of what holds us back is not really like knowing how to exercise. We can probably all string together a squat, a push-up, etc. But it's more about having the mindset stuff that helps us to like create a program and then stick with that program in the long haul. Because of course, consistency is where we're going to really get those great results. So Diana, I don't know if you can help me here. I really want to show this slideshow, but it's not really, it doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to try, if I do this, if you guys can see the slides. It just wants to be full screen, and that is messing me up a little bit. So let's see if we go into present. Can you see my face and the presentation? Hopefully. We're gonna go, I'm gonna just bring you in this way, and no, it's gone. Okay, you can see both. Okay, so I'm gonna put it up, and then I won't be able to see your questions, but I'll come back to it from time to time. Okay, so if you got a question, type it in the box, and I'll come back to it every couple of minutes. But this is just gonna help with some visuals as opposed to just looking at my talking head the whole time. All right. So today, what I want to do is start by talking about some equipment stuff, some kind of like practical things, and then go into some of the mindset and scheduling stuff as we are discussing. So who am I? First of all, if you're not a belly boot camp mama or a member of Mama Reset, maybe you've never heard of me, which makes sense. And so I am a mom of 3. I am a trainer. I've been a trainer since I was 19 years old, so that is 20 years. I've worked in all kinds of different scenarios, big box gyms when I was starting out, got into kind of corporate fitness. And then when I had my first baby, I really realized that I wanted to create high quality strength training for mothers. So less of that kind of like PO kind of workouts, and real strength, science-based and like real, serious strength training. And so that's when I created Belly Boot Camp. I was pregnant with my second. That was in 2009. And then after I had my third, and a longtime friend of mine, Laura Wood, who's a fellow fitness professional, she's a yoga instructor and a Pilates instructor. We both had businesses working with postpartum and pregnant mamas. And we thought, let's create some online programming for all the mamas who aren't in our area of, the GTA. And so create Mama Reset. So Mama Reset started about 3 years ago, and Diana, our lovely moderator here, is one of our Mama Reset members. We have a monthly membership with home workouts that are all designed to be really core strengthening. Body neutrality is my big thing. So you'll hear me, if you hear me on a podcast or see me write something, it's generally going to be around negotiating how we feel about our bodies with what we want our bodies to do. And that's a really challenging thing in motherhood. And so that's how my training, my journey as a trainer has come to revolve around sort of body neutral training for moms and bodies for more than just kind of about 4 kind of categories of hacks today. And I assume that most of you are not here looking to actually sweat. So I'm not going to do this workout style, but I'll invite you to get some cool free resources after this. Actually try a belly boot camp class on your own for the real class experience, or get some free workouts from Mama Reset and try that stuff in a more, natural environment than like us sitting on here doing a talk. So we're going to talk about tools. Number 1, what equipment in the house you should just use in a creative way and what yours is worth investing in. Then we're going to talk about scheduling, like what's the best time for workouts, how to create a schedule you can stick to, and how much do you need to do. Then we're going to talk about core and pelvic floor. How should you incorporate core and pelvic floor training into your workouts and make it effective. And then finally, mindset, which is not a throwaway point. It's really one of the most important things. How do you plan these workouts and stick to them in a way that feels manageable and isn't like guilt-ridden and stressful for you? Needs is more guilt and stress. So let's go right into equipment. We're going to talk first. Oh, sorry, I have a little stat for you. There's not a ton of research on mothers and exercise. So this is a British stick, but it's a very similar culture. So 77% of women surveyed by Sport England last year said that they wished they could do more exercise. So that's over 3/4 of moms are feeling like they're not getting enough movement. Now that might reckon how you feel. I don't know if you feel like you would like to get more movement. Type it in the chat box, and like how often are you working out now, and how much more do you think you would like to do to feel really good in your body? So most women are feeling like they're not getting enough. Oh, emails. So let's talk about how to make home more of a gym environment. So what I recommend is using what you've got. And I do apologize for these skinny white lady pictures, but this is all that I could get on that was appropriate for these topics. So we're going to talk about how to use stairs, an ottoman or a chest, and then other odds and ends to create sort of more of a home gym scenario. Your yoga mat. If you live in a house with more than 1 floor, a set of stairs can be a really versatile way to incorporate different exercises. So I've got just a little step stool here that I'm going to show you kind of how that might work. And I think you can see me based on having used this before, but I won't go into the full-on workout. But you can imagine if this is a set of stairs and we've got an increasing number of stairs going up, I can use this for incline push-ups. And then as they get easier, I can move down a stair. I can use it for an incline plank, whether that's on forearms or on hands, right? Like so. I can use it to twist into side plank. I can do all that kind of stuff. You probably can imagine tricep dips on the stairs. I can also use it for legs, which is a really interesting way to use it too. So I can use it as a step-up position. So I could have dumbbells in my hands. I could use the second stair to do a step-up. I can use it to do a front foot elevated split squat. Front foot comes up and I work a little bit of depth here in the hips in my split squat. Or you might have seen before a rear foot elevated split squat. Same thing, I would split squat with the back heel up. We can do calf raises. Really is like a set of stairs is a gym all in itself. And so you can do a lot of great body weight stuff as well as weighted stuff if you've got dumbbells, kettlebells, etc. And we'll talk about that after. A chair can become, a ballet bar. A chair can be support. If you're getting used to doing balance work, a chair is a really great level. It can also be a fantastic target for things like squats, practicing getting low into your squat, or doing a box squat where we might squat all the way, maybe holding a weight, and practice getting all the way up to standing and returning all the way to seated. That's called a box squat. And then again, same thing, kind of incline planks work well here. You could lay down on your back and do a glute bridge with your feet on the chair. All kinds of ideas. You're really only limited by your creativity. And so as someone who specializes in home workouts, these kinds of things are part of my meat and potatoes every single day. I use them for myself and I use them for one-on-one clients, and then we even incorporate them into our belly boot camp and Mama Reset home workouts. An ottoman or a chest, which I don't have to show you, but you can see on that second picture there. An ottoman or a chest, by chest I mean like a storage trunk with a firm top, works really well as a bench. So bench press with dumbbells or fly. It also can be a great space for, again, tricep dips or incline push-ups. You can do those step-ups on there if it's sturdy enough. Which is one of the darlings of the exercise world in the last few years. A fantastic way to build glutes for that postpartum kind of mom bum who needs a little help re-engaging in postpartum. And so the hip thruster, where the feet are on the floor, back is on the ottoman, and you can inhale, lower, exhale up. If you have questions about it, feel free to type into the chat box. I'm not going to do this as an exercise tutorial. I just want to inspire you, and I want you to understand that limiting factor is not equipment. Okay. Now, other odds and ends you can use are towels, work as gliding discs. They can also work as yoga straps if you're stretching and need a little assistance getting into the right position. Soup cans, you've probably seen that on Instagram at some point. Soup cans they're not going to build strength, but in certain positions like Pilates sort of esque things or bar where we're doing a lot of reps for a lightweight, a soup can really hit smaller muscles like triceps and shoulders, help with some core engagement, or even act as a yoga block or a prop when you're coming into some more challenging poses, or if you're lunge and yoga, etc., can feel a little restricting for the breasts and the belly. So the cans can act just to kind of help you prop yourself up. Stuff you don't need to buy is what I'm getting at. But what would you buy? Well, I would say if you were going to invest in a few, I don't know why this one keeps skipping. If you're going to invest in a few pieces of equipment, these are my 3 favorites. And actually brought them just to prove it. So handle resistance band is one of my absolute favorite pieces of equipment. This is a high quality band by a company called Core Effects. You can see that it's covered in fabric. What's great about these when you're working out at home is the fabric's encasing the tubing inside. So they're gonna last longer because the tubing itself is not rubbing up against, whatever it is that you're affixing it to. But they're also, when they do give, they're not gonna snap the way that a rubber band would. It would just kind of give eventually, but I'm talking years. And then it would, because it's encased in the cloth, it would just sort of sag and you wouldn't have like the band that we use in our belly boot camp classes. And we use these with various, normally right now we're mostly online, but they are, they're super durable. We use them for classes all through the year. They last for years, even with our usage. So this is like buy it once and you probably never have to replace it. About $25. The next thing I recommend, so we'll talk about how to use that. If you have questions, you can anchor it to use it for rows, and we can show you how to use this at a belly boot camp class. So these guys, mini bands, you've probably seen these on Instagram too. This is my favorite brand. It's Yogi Bands. I am not sponsored by any of these brands, but Yogi Bands are made in Canada and they're nice, high quality, thick rubber. So they don't roll up like tourniquet style as much as the cheaper ones do. Now, mini bands can be a strength tool. We can definitely do sort of pulling things with them and work some other muscles, but the main use for mini bands is to help us really engage the glutes and the core muscles. So adding a mini band to basic exercises like squats, split squats, glute bridges, etc., dead bugs for the abs can just help you to love deeply without having to necessarily go out and buy new gear or, find the next greatest exercise. We're just taking the basics and adding a little bit of resistance and guidance with these bands. Again, just throw a question in the chat box if you are unsure how one would use these. And if you're going to buy some kind of a piece of resistance equipment outside of bands, I would say dumbbells are probably your most versatile, and they're best for beginners. Kettlebells are awesome, but they can be a bit intimidating. And you really do need instruction for kettlebells for a lot of the exercises. Dumbbells, I would go with a heavier set. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of women make is going with really light dumbbells, but you can get light resistance from other things. Like this band actually has quite a fair amount of resistance. I think they say it's about 15 pounds resistance on each side. So that's a substantial amount for something like bicep curls, for example. But for legs, that's not going to be a ton. And that's where if you're going to buy maybe one set of dumbbells, I would go ahead and get something like a 15, 20-pound dumbbells. Because remember, you can hold one dumbbell with two hands if, say, you wanted to press overhead, but you can't handle both of them. And you can something heavier like legs. So this combination would totally cost you under $100 to get a heavy set of dumbbells, a set of mini bands, and a handled resistance band, and you would have tons of versatility. That there are no questions about equipment before I go on to scheduling and mindset. Just gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. Hi, Asha, oh my gosh, nice to see you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so no questions. Hi, Carly. Yes, you really do have. So this is the thing. Here's what I want you to walk away from this understanding. You are the only thing getting in your way. And I mean that with the most love possible. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You don't need to have a gym. And given what's going on in the world, that's the reassuring thing to realize. You don't need to leave the house to get a good workout. And if you want to invest, I would start with these three pieces and then just get zeroed in on how to motivate yourself as opposed to getting more stuff, okay? So let's go back now if there's no questions on that. I'm going to go back and we're going to talk about scheduling. So scheduling is definitely one of the most challenging parts of home workouts for moms. And I know that at least one of you, I'm just pulling up my notes here, I know that at least one of you mentioned that it's really hard since you had your little one to get that workout. So what we want to think about is that, we're going ahead here. Sorry. So when we survey women, so the same British survey, actually, in this case, this is the survey of 1,000 British mothers of children under 6. And the number one reason that they gave when they were asked why they didn't exercise as much as they'd like was time. And that probably really resonates, and it feels like a very authentic experience as a mom. Like, how can you possibly devote time, 30, 60 minutes out of only 24 in a day, and to exercise when there are so many people demanding your time, and there's work, and there's trying to sleep maybe 7 hours. And what we want to not take away from this sort of a guilt-ridden thing, because I don't think that the graphics that we see, for example, on Instagram, where everyone has Beyonce has the same 24 hours in a day to talk about fitness. And let's just remember here, when we're creating our own movement schedules, it is up to you. And it is up to you how much of your time and energy you want to devote to movement. There is no moral part of this. There's no obligation. Your body and your movement are entirely your business. So if you're just coming to a place of wanting to start to move more, which I think is where most moms are, then what we want to do is not fall into the trap of 1 hour free, because that is something that a lot of moms wait for. They're like, I'm going to have an hour free from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. But the thing is, that comes along and you've got 2 hours before you're going to pass out yourself, and you don't lunches to make, and you haven't watched Netflix yet for the day, or whatever it is. So my number one tip with scheduling is to stop waiting for longer periods of time and instead really focus on short workouts in the beginning. Now, our perfectionist sides can say, oh, if it's just 10 minutes or it's just 15 minutes, what's the point? I might as well just skip it, or I might as well wait until I have that hour. But here's the thing, and I just, this is the most with love, you got to think, how is it working for you to do that? Because I see a lot of women, eschew the shorter workouts because they feel like not hard enough, or they perceive that they won't be hard enough, won't be effective enough, and instead wait for that kind of magical unicorn of an hour of alone time, or that one time per week when they have that, paid, maybe that belly boot camp class or that yoga class they love, and all the other days doing nothing. And that sort of black and white, all or nothing thinking is not going to help you to create the consistency that you need. I would suggest to you, if you've been living in that world, that you consider that at this point it hasn't helped you build consistency, and just be willing to abandon that idea that you need to have a long, beat you down to the ground workout session every time, or it's not worth doing anything at all. So number one, kind of get rid of that idea of the longer workouts to start with. And you may have a time when you do have more time, or you may get your belly boot camp class or your yoga class, and that's fantastic, but it doesn't have to be like that every single day. Number two, when you're at home, is don't always have that. If you have a partner at home who's also working from home, who can give you help for 5 mornings a week or something, and you specifically say to that person, I need to move my body more. I feel stiff. I don't feel good about myself. I'm having leakage when I cough. Tell your partner why it's important to you, and get them to understand that when you ask for help for this to you is a matter of, personal, it's self-care. It's not that you're, it's not frivolous to you. It's really important to feel okay with saying, okay, I can't be on right now because I'm going to do my 20 minutes of movement that I really, really need. So asking for help. Another way to kind of create that system as a social fitness, like belly boot camp or a yoga class, something where you're online with friends, is a great way to build more into your schedule. But you could also set up a regular time once per week where you do maybe a 20 to 30-minute workout with a friend over FaceTime or Zoom. One of you leads, the other one follows, or you press play on a video at the same time, for example. And start looking at how can you multitask, like social time and exercise time together. If you're in a community where you feel comfortable getting out and walking still, maybe you can do a distanced walk on the weekends or a hike, and think about the ways that you can build exercise into your schedule that isn't always taking away from that precious alone time at night that you really do need. You need that downtime. It's not always the most attractive thing to like press play on a video and sweat for 30 minutes when you know you're going to go to bed 30 minutes later. So thinking about creating a schedule for you that's sustainable. And the last thing I'll say on scheduling is that for most mamas, morning time really is going to be the best time. It doesn't have to be immediately upon waking. But again, if we're getting rid of that perfectionism and we're not looking for an hour-long workout, if we're starting with 10, 15 minutes, it doesn't mean we're getting up an hour earlier. It could be just setting the alarm 10 minutes earlier, or the same time, but just not scrolling Instagram until you've done your 10 or 15 minutes of workout. Another time that works really well, still, or just before you start your workday if you're not on maternity leave. So getting through the breakfast rush, maybe letting your little one have an iPad or have an activity. Morning time is also a time when generally babies and little kids are a little happier and more energetic to play on their own. And so you get in that 10 or 15 minutes, and then you just expect to get interrupted, expect not to be perfect about, be willing to get started. Now, the existing habit loops there, I said, so mornings is a classic time. So if you get in the habit of getting up, brushing your teeth, putting on the coffee, probably a habit loop a lot of us have. If you just interject 10 minutes of exercise in between brushing your teeth and having your coffee, that's going to be a very powerful way to just build into an existing habit loop. So it becomes, you guessed it, a habit. So morning after morning, you just get used to brush teeth, do 10 minutes of movement, coffee's ready, etc. Okay. Any questions about that before we move on to core and pelvic floor? No? Okay, perfect. So understanding scheduling, basically start with short workouts, shoot for earlier in the day. There are fewer things that can interfere with it earlier in the day. Don't worry about having a mega long time for your workouts. Schedule social workouts when you can, like build them into your social time, build them into your life in other ways, so they're not always taking away from your downtime. And then understand that exercise has seasons, and literally some seasons you might move more in the summer than the winter, and some seasons of life, early in maternity leave, you may not move a ton. When your kids are in school, you might find that you love to move 6 days a week, okay? Number 3 thing that comes up for home workouts is core and pelvic floor. So get a lot of questions about how best to work the core and pelvic floor, and should it be worked at the beginning of the workout, at the end of the workout? Do we need to do specific core training workouts in addition to regular strength training and cardio, etc.? And the best way that I can explain this is to understand that the core really is truly involved in every exercise that we do. So even as I'm like vigorously hand talking here, my core muscles are engaging to twist my body, swing my arms, and make sure that my whole self doesn't go with my arms. So when we think of core and pelvic floor, we want to think less about dedicated core and pelvic floor workouts, although if we're working with a pelvic floor physiotherapist, working through some rehabilitation, it can be important to incorporate some specific pelvic floor and core retraining. Mostly it's going to be around breathing and understanding alignment, etc. But if we're past the stage of kind of rehabilitating and we just want to continue to grow strength in the core, then what it's going to come down to is understanding how to engage your core in every exercise that you do. So we have seen even electrode tests on lower abdominal muscles to compare like a sit-up, a traditional sit-up or crunch, to a squat. And in fact, the recruitment of abdominal muscles in a weighted squat is as high or higher than in a traditional abdominal move. So we know now, like for those of us who came up in the 90s and we were all kind of abs obsessed, we know now that the abs don't really work in isolation. The abdominals and the pelvic floor muscles as part of your deep core, as well as the muscles of the hips and the bum, the glutes, they all work in synchronicity to support the hip structure and the torso and spine. So we want to understand the core and pelvic floor in terms of how they work, not in terms of what's the best exercise for the core, because it doesn't exist. So when we think about core and pelvic floor belly boot camp and at Mama Reset, we think about 3 things. Number 1, breath. So can you stay at an intensity level where you can inhale to let go and exhale to engage the core and pelvic floor and feel them coming inwardly to a stabilized place? If your intensity is so high that you can't breathe and you can't feel that going out the window, we've probably stopped making meaningful progress on the core and pelvic floor that exercise, okay? Number 2, alignment. We really want to feel that the trunk is, ribs are stacked over the hips, ears are stacked over the shoulders, and we're in a beautiful line from the head to toe. Whether that's seated, so I'm sitting, perched up on my sitting bones, tucked under with my bum under me, curly. And if I'm properly aligned, those breathing muscles are going to move in the way that they're intended. And when I inhale in that nice stacked position, whether I'm seated or standing or lying on my back, my diaphragm will come down. It will gently relax my pelvic floor. And as I exhale, I empty the air out. My diaphragm and my pelvic floor naturally kind of spring back up to a supported position. So breath and alignment work together, and then load and intensity. Any exercise can be totally safe if we understand how to make it right for your body. So if your breath, your alignment, or feel like you're engaging your pelvic floor and core is not available to you, then probably the load or the intensity that you're using is too high. So either lower the weights, or if you're coming back to, here's the stair picture. So think about a step up or a push up on the stairs, move higher up the stairs, move on to more of an incline, slow it down, or take a rest. Big kind of topic to cover. That's sort of the 3 basic ways to think about it, because I want you to understand that it's not about specific ab exercises that are the thing that will fix your diastasis or fix your pelvic floor. We want to understand how to harness the breath. We want to understand how the body is best stacked for you. It looks a little different for everyone's shape and their body type. So how the body is stacked for you in a way that helps the core and pelvic floor to work. And then what's the right amount of intensity or weight on that particular exercise, this particular exercise for you, where you feel that engagement and it's not so heavy or intense that you're like holding your breath, bearing down, white knuckling, engaging well. So I want to invite you to hop over to the mamareset.com, and we have a freebies section right in our main menu. So if you're on mobile, it's, you know, the hamburger menu. If you're on desktop, it's through the, you know, the regular main menu. And we have multiple freebies there. So we've got some really great stuff like a bar workout you can download and lots of things. But we have this Core After Kids home workout starter kit, and it's going to take you through some of the stuff that we're talking about today, but even more exercises, some workouts, as well as our favorite gear and an exercise tracker, and more of this information about how to feel the core working during all of your workouts. So hop over to themamareset.com and click on freebies, and you can download that today, and I'll keep learning more about the core and pelvic floor. So for the final point today, we're going to just talk about mindset. And this is really the biggest part of the coaching that we do. When you are a coach, you learn at some point that it's not really about what you know. It's about how well you can teach it and inspire it. And so what I find with moms is that most moms are trapped in a place of wanting to exercise more, wanting to feel better in their bodies, but also feeling really crappy about the fact that they're not getting as much exercise as they want. And then throw me like something in the chat box if this resonates with you. How many of us feel guilty for not exercising and then also feel guilty because we want to exercise to change the way our bodies look? So I find this is a really interesting place that a lot of women are living in these days as we go through more, as a culture, become a little bit more body neutral. So we think, oh, I don't like the way that I look. I don't feel comfortable with my body. I want to exercise more to change it. But then also, oh, now I feel guilty because I'm not being body positive. And what kind of a role model am I for my daughter or whatever? So it's a hard place to be when you are feeling the want, the desire, and the need for change, but you're not quite able to make it happen. And I have kind of a way of reframing this thought process for you that's going to, I hope, help you not just to move forward with your workouts, but also to stop beating yourself up about either missing in a day or about wanting to spend a lot of time on movement, and realize that it's really about how you frame it in your mind. So let's talk about mindset for the last 2 minutes here, and then if anyone's got any questions, we can do a quick Q&A before our time is up. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here now. So this is just coming back to that same survey from Sport England last year. Mothers under 6 and their ability to exercise and take care of themselves. So we said 77% of moms with kids under 6 wanted to exercise more, and 61% of them, so lots of them, almost as many, feel guilty. It's almost as if you feel like you're letting someone else down because you're not exercising enough, which of course is not the case. However, our society places such high value on physical appearance that we might perceive that we are letting the world down, or we are letting ourselves down by not looking our best. So at Mama Reset, we poll our moms in our newsletter from time to time and ask them, why do you exercise? And when we're thinking about finding a mindset that's going to keep you consistent, it's not going to be about fat loss. I'll tell you that. There's science to back it up. I've got 20 long years of experience. Fat loss is not what is going to keep you in the game. Exercise and wellness is a long game through all kinds of changes. It already has. It's gone from a child's body to a teenager's body to a young woman's body to a young woman's body, maybe to another pregnancy, shapes and abilities, and in the way that you relate to it. But when we ask our moms, why do you want to exercise for a stronger, overwhelmingly, the answer is it's because they want to be better moms. So when we see what moms the real dig down and find the real why often is they want to feel strong, and they don't want to be the kind of mom who sits on the sidelines. They don't want to be the mom on the bench with the phone. I mean, sometimes we all do, but they want to be the mom who can play tag. They want to be the mom who can jump on the trampoline. They want to be the mom who walks into a room and, regardless of what size your body is, feels confident that she's taking good care of herself and she's living according to her value. That's what's most important when thinking about mindset. So in terms of your mindset, as you go away from this, I want you to really zero in on your real motivation. So if you can do some visualization and imagine yourself a year from now, do you look different? Do you feel different? But most importantly, what are you doing that's different? Are you the type of person who gets up in the morning and goes out for a walk in the sunshine with a podcast as opposed to jumping on Instagram on the couch? Are you the type of person who goes for a family bike ride in the evenings? I bet a lot of the things that you want out of life have nothing to do with how you look. And if you can really harness and visualize what exercise can add to your life, then we can stop thinking everything has to be an hour beating your stories, even though the science says exercise is not do that for you. It's not the way to change your body. It's not the route to fat loss that we thought it was. We stop looking for that hour, of spinning, for example. Maybe we do that once a week because we love getting in that cardio session. We love challenging ourselves, but it's not realistic every day. So we see the value on other days of 15 minutes of yoga, 10 minutes of strength, or a hike with a friend. So number one, come into that place of thinking, what do you really want out of your life? And then look for the opportunities for movement. And as I said in schedule, start easier and shorter than you think. Here's another trick that hangs up a lot of moms, is thinking that the intensity level or the volume always needs to be really high, but that's not the case. And for most mamas, we're very stressed in our nervous systems. We're always not necessarily getting a ton of sleep. We might not be able to nourish ourselves as well as we'd like, or even drink enough water. Many of us are relying heavily on caffeine. And so aggressive exercise multiple days per week can actually be detrimental to our systems. So instead of focusing on the most calories you can burn, focus just on consistency. So instead of thinking, I must do 5 1-hour workouts a week, could you come to a place of thinking, okay, if I think about my real motivation is I want to be strong as a person and as a mom, could you focus instead on not going more than one day without some kind of movement, for example? It doesn't have to always be bound by the days of the week or a certain amount of time. It doesn't always have to be cardio. It doesn't always have to be, and you can really cobble it together based on how your body's feeling in a week, or what the season is, or are you having an injury, and what time do you have, and be willing to understand that sometimes you're going to make greater progress towards some fitness goals, and sometimes you might make greater progress towards other fitness goals. So start with short workouts for the longer times all of the time. Understand that exercise science shows us that fat loss is not one of the best outcomes of exercise. Exercise intensity and volume has to be set to the Biggest Loser. I don't know if you're not too much younger than me. Back to Biggest Loser, that sort of exercise not a feasible way to live. And we know now that short bursts of exercise have been proven science to be just as effective for like cardiovascular strength and endurance, as well as even if you're looking for a change in your body composition. Know that many moms are, and so you want to feel a little leaner. Short bursts just as effective as those longer ones. So stop beating yourself up and just get started, because the last thing you're thinking about mindset is if you're waiting or you're waiting for the perfect workout, the perfect system, the perfect moment where you're going to have 45 minutes 5 days a week and life just falls together. It doesn't exist. And motivation really actually comes as we get into it. So you start out with those short, frequent 10, 15-minute workouts. You build in a walk with a friend, and you start like a stone rolling downhill. You start building up momentum, and it feels so good. Your body starts to learn, and your brain starts to feel really good when you move. And even if it's just 10 minutes of yoga, you get an endorphin rush, and you get joints and tissues that feel better, and your mindset's improved, your mood and your mental health is improved, and your body starts to crave the movement. It's like, it's a Pavlovian thing, and it really does happen. But motivation comes after we've had some exposure. So in the beginning, my top step is just start small, push away the bad thoughts that say you got to, and start with just consistent short workouts, and it will come together, I promise. If you're looking for more help, as I said, bellybootcamp.ca. We have in-person stuff running until the end of October, and then we have the you can do a free online class if you want to go and try doing a class experience from your own home. We use soup cans or dumbbells if you actually have dumbbells, mat and a chair, so super accessible. And then Mama Reset is our online membership. If you go to the mamareset.com, you can click on the freebies part of the menu and find all kinds of awesome stuff to get you started today. So that is everything. I talked a million miles a minute. So now if you've got a question, type it in, and I would love to answer them for you. So Wynette says, I have a 5-month-old. I realized recently I was making the wrong goal, wanting to work out 3 to 4 times a week for half an hour, and I just focused on strengthening my arms, neck, and shoulders, where I carry a lot of pain with weights right after my morning shower. It's true that later in the day, yes, the less energy is so true. So these are not, I'm just like, just go on Google and pull up random fitness facts. These are really trusted, tested, and true. I promise you. I have been specializing on working with moms now for I guess 12 years. And so these are really based in experience and research. Later in the day, there's just more things to get in the way. Number one, more likely a friend calls you, or, you know, your partner says, oh, let's order in, or whatever, you know, and it just goes out the window. Earlier in the day, think of it this way, Wynette. I would challenge you to think of it this way. If it's a priority, prioritize it in your day. And I don't say that in a judgy way. I say it in a way that if you want to feel stronger, then bump up the time that you focus on your strengths, just like you would tackle any other important thing in your day. And so we tend, like, we put ourselves last, you know, as moms, and we don't set up the same system and planning that we would for other goals. Like, for example, you know, say you had to organize a staff, you know, baby shower for your colleague or something. You would plan every bit. You would do things in advance. You would double check stuff. You would ask for help. You would delegate. Do the same thing with your self-care. Ask for help. Commit to someone else. If it's available to, use a coach or a program just to help you get started even, and then stick with it if you love it. But the starting is the hardest part, and that's where most of us get stuck. It's not that we start and then we're like, nah, I don't know what to do. We can figure out. We've probably all done enough workouts in our lives to figure it out. Any other questions? I see there's still a few of you in here. If you have a question about core and pelvic floor, about any of the equipment we talked about using, you know, how to use them, how to incorporate them, about your schedule, aches and pains, anything like that, feel free to throw them up there. I'm going to throw, just for those of you who are left, I'll throw the link for the Mama Reset and Belly Bootcamp right in there, so you can go ahead and grab some free resources. And it has been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this is helpful. And you can reach me through my profile. There's an email address. If you have a question about your own routine, feel free to shoot me an email or message me on here, and I'd love to help you out. Just point you in the right direction and help you get started. Okay? Thanks, Wynette. Thanks, everyone.